Hey guys. Hey to all my friends. Last week's episode was about the book called Toxic Positivity, and I hope you had a listen to it because this week I want to share some insights on what I have found that the book has brought about, and I want to address the happiness culture we expect to have in our homes. Last week it was about just the world in general and how there's a toxic positivity culture, and this week is in our homes. I want to talk about how we want to have happy homes and we want it to be a place of refuge, right? But eliminating negativity is not the way to go about having a happy home and a place of refuge. So I want to address this. Is nothing can steal a parent's happiness faster than tantrums, arguing, power struggles, defiance and disobedience. I could go on. We demand that change happens instantly, that whoever's doing it and whoever's yelling and causing the disturbance, whoever's the most loud, sometimes it's not even the perpetrator, but they must stop their fits and they must stop their yelling immediately. And that is the wrong way to act. You see, to ensure peace is restored as fast as possible, it doesn't necessarily mean we need to stop all the negativity all at once. Because we think that good behavior and cooperation and speaking kindly are the most important things that are done in the home. And that's what makes good parents and good parenting in a happy home. You'll hear things if you go to someone's house, like any house across America is like, stop that crying right now. You give that back and you say sorry for making him cry, right? That sounds pretty classic. That's why I picked that one. But just underlying in our good intentions is the need for us to force their good behavior, to teach them, to show them. So we don't have to be mad and deal with it on such a constant basis anymore. If they would just learn. And this is actually the exact opposite for what I'm going to recommend that you do. And it may not be popular, and I may get some feedback on this in the contrary, but today, try to not go out and find who is right and who is wrong, and don't make it an issue of good or bad. Today, before you get up in arms against anything, especially against me, because I'm saying this, and I'll explain, it's because it reinforces being against someone and divided and thinking that your way is best. It shows the example of someone coming in and demanding, and someone coming in and instead of listening and understanding, it's this way or it's that way. It's kind of an all or nothing, black or white thinking. And I'm finding a lot of issues in adults and in parents with this. And it goes back to our core beliefs in our childhood. So I want to take a second to imagine going in a different direction. Okay, what if instead you were to ask them what they're feeling and what they were thinking, what thought they had that caused that feeling before the behavior, and help them learn interpretation. Like, could it be possible this was happening? We jump to conclusions, right? The processing and managing of their emotions is super important because that's what comes up before their action. It removes the danger of inadvertently teaching them that we're in charge of the way others feel too, because you're making her feel bad isn't accurate. We do not make others feel. We can impact or influence the way others feel. We can make it easier or harder for them to feel certain things, but ultimately they get to choose how they want to feel by what they're making the situation mean and how they're interpreting it. Okay, so the goal here is to teach ownership of one's actions and also ownership of one's feelings. Okay, kids can be taught that they have everything they could ever need inside of them when they're connected to Heavenly Father, higher power, God, or whatever you believe in, because there's bigger and higher ways than us. There's like the big picture. So we want to get them out of this box and open instead of narrow it on them, because it will provide strength that they can tap into for their self-esteem and resilience. Because this strength that's bigger than them and bigger than you, that you can both connect with, it dissipates fear. It dissipates the fear of anything, really, because being connected to something vertically shows them how to deal with everything horizontally in their life. between us and heaven connected, and between you as the example of it, showing them how their minds work can dissipate fear. So if you help them get curious about their thinking, because thinking is directly related to what they feel come up as an emotion, that sensation they feel in their body. And when they understand the connection, they will use their agency more fully, and they will blame others less. I'm trying to get information out to parents everywhere, because most of us are unaware of how important it is to have every negative emotion. We just want to stop it in its tracks and not even allow it. But the most important part of a home isn't the happiness in the home. And I know we all focus on that, but the regular disagreements and the fights that happen in a home is really important. And maybe I'll just spoiler alert right now, because I was going to end with this, but I'll say it right here. It is the whole point. No matter what anybody does or doesn't do, or how big of a mess it is, it's about the learning how to reconcile with it all. Okay, that is the point. So let it be a big mess. It's to embrace all the parts of human life so we can feel empowered to make better decisions because we want to. Not because religion tells us to, not because culture tells us to, not because mom tells us to. We spend too much time trying to avoid our bad things that we want to do. Don't hit. Oh yeah, I'm not supposed to hit. I'm not supposed to hit. Don't do this thing. Oh yeah, I'm not supposed to do this thing. I'm not supposed to do this thing. But when we as parents and teach them as the children, we individually use our agency to choose how long we're mad, whether or not we take responsibility for our part in it. It's actually really okay to not like what is happening and complain about it. Let them. And you do it too. I don't like what's happening, and here are my complaints. When we have disagreements in the home, it's a really important opportunity for connection. And while also having hope and working towards deeper connection at the same time, because we're really going to get into the weeds here and understand each other better. And we're going to get good at whatever we do most often. So having a big mess and making a big debacle out of it, and then getting to the other side of it, really promotes that problem solving and that reconciling. There's less grudges, less blaming. And all in all, like, we don't want our kids to be hiding and pretending, right? We want them to be authentic and to come back together, all of us, with more understanding and more experiential knowledge of how to come back with that understanding. So no matter what they're up against, like kids at school or, a boss, or later in their marriage, like they're going to know how to solve it. They're going to know how important coming back together is. Okay. So the more we put this into play, the better we get about it, and the less judgments we have, because we too can take ownership in how we're perpetuating the problems by being against them. We are against our kids all the time, you guys. You need to open your eyes to it, because we don't like what they do. It's dividing of us. We need to rise above the thoughts that divide. So I've given you permission. You may rise above the thoughts that divide in your home. And yes, it's us. It includes us. We're living with outdated relationship cycles in our families still to this day. And I want to undo some of all that. So let's work on that. So as parents, we may be unknowingly continuing the mental and emotional issues in our generations by making behavior and happy attitudes the priority, which skips over huge needs that kids have that need to be seen, heard, acknowledged, and validated. And if they ever have or do go to those dark thoughts, or feel like life's unfair, questioning why things are hard for them, they're left feeling in shame when we're telling them to look on the bright side all the time. And maybe they just want to feel hurt, and that's okay to feel hurt. And we tell them that's okay to feel hurt. You can feel hurt for as long as you want. And then eventually they'll quit choosing hurt. But there's isolation and inadequacy when they feel unable to express themselves because we go too quickly. We cut them off and adamantly enforce a changing of their perspective, changing of their attitude, which is well intended and the end goal. But if you do it too soon, it teaches like suppression and to cover it up and sweep it under the rug, because we don't talk about that. And what covering up looks like is numbing yourself, numbing themselves. All right. They get the message that what they think and feel isn't a priority or worth listening to. So they get really good at like, fine, I feel this thing. They just go distract themselves or disassociate from their inner voice. But that inner voice was meant to guide them. But when it's not heard, you're now an adult suppressing this inner voice or disassociating with it because it's not important. You were shown that it wasn't important. And then you turn to temporary feel-good obsessions like screen time, food, complaining. We connect with negativity sometimes, wanting others to do things for you and fix things for you, right? We wait around for our life to happen for us. It's a resilience and a self-esteem thing. It's also an underfeeling problems. And adults do this too. We underfeel all the time. I call it overing because underfeeling turns into an issue of attachment. Instead of just feeling discomfort or doing the hard work it takes each day to keep up on things, we feel like we should do these things, which then we just turn to like, well, I don't listen to my inner self. I'm just going to go shopping. So you overshop or you over scroll on social media, you over complain, to your partner about your partner, to your friends about your friends, gossiping, over watching TV, like binge watching shows, oversleeping. And then at its worst, of course, it looks like porn, drugs, alcohol, and any sort of instant gratification because we want to stay away from what we don't want to face. Everything we should be doing that's pressured on us, instead of just feeling the shame and disappointment of ourselves and kind of moving and processing through it. Shame is a vicious cycle, and it takes more energy to feed. And it needs more to be done more often than just feeling okay. So when you move, you need to teach your kids how to move through it. And we as parents could learn it and teach them how. We need to all know how to face the downs in life. Having down times, bad times, it's actually working for us, not working against us. So if we were to change our perception of what reality really is, it's our greatest teacher by design. And this helps us have less worry and less fear if we were to taught at a young age not to avoid it and just accept it as part of life. It just takes the pressure off. So the younger we can teach our kids this, the better. And we can make a big mess of life. Everybody can make poor decisions and react poorly to others' decisions. But then when we come back, there's the magic. Trusting in the process of coming back is where it's important. Now there's no more harbor grudges, deleting people from your life, running away and avoiding, becoming offended easily. It removes all the possibilities of those. Now, if you've been multitasking, pay attention to this part because I want you to take this one thing with you. Self-esteem is the indicator of having great relationships. So we need our children to have good self-esteem. And it only takes one person in a relationship to make it work, the one who has good self-esteem. The world teaches this distorted lens, right? The world has this lens through which we are not even aware of, and we get sucked in if we're not aware of it. But I want us to redo this, okay? First, we're going to teach them about naming the emotion because it brings them to the present moment. It gets them out of blame. It gets them out of like the past and they always do this, or the future of this is going to happen. And it just brings them into the present. Most people only know 11 emotions. There are 34,000 types of emotions in 27 different categories. Did you know? I wish I had been taught emotional intelligence when I was young. I should do a podcast on it. But next, you're going to lead them through pinpointing why they feel it so they can learn how to make the connection. Feeling awful came from thinking awful first. And as a result, they outwardly express awful through their words and actions later. It's important for them to feel better and to understand this isn't for you, this is for them. You can just learn to feel really bad and mad and at your wit's end or even confused while you're guiding them. And remember, it's meant to be like this. We do life the best we know how anyways. And what you are as a parent is good enough. The scriptures say to know the good from the bad. And that could be interpreted as they get to experience all of it in order to know. So we don't want to jump in and not allow them to feel that. They choose for themselves what they do next using their agency when we have given them all the information. So let's teach it accurately and not leave their agency out of it, right? Including it whenever possible. We're going to replay the situation with them and show them their mind and how they're not their thoughts, they are not their actions alone, but they are their decisions. Okay, we're not going to put band-aids on deeper issues by just demanding everybody's behavior be better. It can just build inside of them if we don't really get to what's underlying, especially if they don't have the inner understanding first. When we force ourselves or others to fall in line, it's not how we're meant to live. I really would like to break this cycle. You can probably hear it in my voice. It's like the judging, the categorizing, those kids who seem out of control and defiant and unruly, and the ones that are mean, right? Let's teach them how it works and give them skills. No isolation, no shame, no reminding them of their problem areas, just talk solutions. Ask them what they feel, what they'd rather feel. I've heard parents in this last week, and it breaks my heart. They say, well, she's a disaster, or he is out of control, or such a drama queen, horrible in public, can't deal with his emotions, can't take him anywhere. This is my only bad child. The rest of them are fine. Treats me horrible, like has never listened, doesn't care. All these things that they're saying. Now picture the child nearby listening to this from their parent and sadly believing them. Right? Because that's what they're told on a constant basis. They just start to believe it about themselves, and that becomes who they are. All of our decisions are made from who we think we are, even us as adults. Identity is a really powerful thing, and what we believe is true to us. Whether it's true or not, it shapes our reality, and blame deepens shame. So don't be parents who blame. Now, if we believe we're on the same team as a family, right? We're for them, not against them, then there's no need to point fingers. I just lost my place. The family as a whole is connected, and somehow we're all at fault and we're all responsible at the same time. And this is true leadership, you guys, as being parents. You believe in the family, all of them. We do everything and anything we can to build, support, encourage, and use all these strengths and point out their strengths, show others their strengths in order to swing and leverage that into some weak areas. Now, as the parent, you let go of any box you've put someone in so they can choose their identity. I could use the metaphor of food, like feed them nutrition instead of junk. Right? Through their ears, I guess, is what this would be. But like, we're their parents for a reason. We know them best. Quit looking outside of yourself for answers and for advice. There is no same answer for everyone or every family. I've been given some horrible advice to people who do things a certain way in their home, and I was intuitive, and I'm glad that I was, because I could have ruined some relationships. But it takes time to know when you challenge them and when you validate them. And you can learn to do this intuitively, just bit by bit, learning when to validate and when to challenge them. It's an art. God is the perfect example of this for us in our lives. He's the master artist, and he knows us best, and he can help us do the same. So if you need any help understanding any of these concepts, or you want to see how it works for your people in your situations, just get on a call with me. It's on me. My calendar availability link is in the show notes. Pick any time that works best for you. It's also lifecoachalisa.com. And as always, if you thought of anyone while listening to this, please share it with them. The heavens use us to be there for other people, right? Be the person that heaven can count on. And rate and review this because it helps get the information to people who are looking for it. I want more people to look for this. I get people all the time telling me how profound this is for them, and we want more people to hear it. So there's more of a difference made between parents and kids and in the home. So I'll talk to you either in class or on our calls or in next week's episode. All right. Love you all. Bye.